Driven by the desire to prove his worth, Hiccup stumbles upon a Night Fury, one of the most feared and mysterious dragons. Instead of succumbing to his peers' expectations, he chooses empathy over hostility. This act sets the stage for a narrative that challenges stereotypes, explores the power of connection, and propels the scrawny Hiccup from the fringes of his society to a place of heroic significance. Hiccup is a slight and scrawny Viking who lives on the island of Berk along with his tribe. This village has been plagued by dragon raids for generations, pushing them into a never-ending war with these creatures. Expected to be a fierce warrior like his fellow Vikings, Hiccup's small stature and lack of strength make him an outsider. Not only this, but Hiccup is also known for tending to cause accidents, and for this reason, his father, Stoic, who is also the chief of the tribe, aims to protect him from danger by keeping him indoors and under the wary eyes of Gober, the blacksmith he works for. During a particular dragon attack on the village, while working his post in Gober's smithy, Hiccup seizes a chance to prove his worth. He crafts a cannon-fired bola using his inventive mind to capture a dragon against the standard Viking brutal method. Triumphantly hitting a dragon mid-air, he believes it's the rare Night Fury. However, no one in Berk believes him, as Night Fury is mythical and unseen. Plus, he doesn't possess the prowess to do so. Hiccup goes to the forest at Raven Point early the next day to prove his point, aiming to get the dragon's heart. Meanwhile, Stoic and Gober discuss Hiccup's behavior after a meeting in the Great Hall and how to make him into a proper Viking. Although initially hesitant, Stoic agrees with Gober to let Hiccup undergo dragon training to help him toughen up and gain survival skills. Just as Stoic prepares for a mission to lead an expedition to defeat the dragon's nest. While he is already told to go home by his father, Hiccup ignores his father's orders and ventures into the woods. His search proves challenging, and he struggles to locate the fallen dragon. A broken tree and churned ground eventually lead him to the trapped dragon, ensnared by his bola shot. As he readies himself to extract the dragon's heart with his belt knife, he's taken aback by the creature's fearful gaze, sensing its vulnerability. Moved by his compassion, Hiccup cuts the dragon loose. Unexpectedly, the Night Fury springs onto him. Hiccup, now gripped by fear, meets the dragon's intense gaze. The moment stretches as the dragon rears up, causing Hiccup to flinch, expecting an attack. Instead, the dragon releases a furious roar before attempting to flee among the trees. As Hiccup tries to head home, he faints out of shock from the encounter. On the first day of dragon training, Hiccup faces several mockeries from his co-trainees, Snotlout, Roughnut, and Toughnut. He nearly gets killed by a Gronkle, but Gober intervenes just in time. As Gober stows the dragon back to its place, he mentions the ruthless nature of dragons and how they always aim for the kill. Intrigued, Hiccup recalls his encounter with the Night Fury and the fact it didn't attack him. Driven by curiosity, Hiccup returns to where he found the Night Fury. Following its flight path, he discovers the dragon's tail had been torn off in the crash, trapping it in a cove. Hiccup attempts to gather valuable information about the elusive creature, but unintentionally alerts the Night Fury with a dropped pencil. Yet the dragon merely gazes at him, leaving Hiccup perplexed. At night, Hiccup delves into the Dragon Manual for insight, only to find it categorizing the Night Fury as extremely dangerous, providing no further information. Following a narrow escape from a deadly natter during dragon training, Hiccup tries to establish a connection with the Night Fury by offering it a fish. However, the dragon remains cautious upon noticing Hiccup's belt knife. Hiccup discards the knife into the cove pool to create trust between them. The Night Fury hesitantly accepts the fish, employing its retractable teeth, and even shares a portion by regurgitating some for Hiccup. To maintain rapport, Hiccup takes a hesitant bite of the raw, dragon drool-coated fish, observing as the dragon seemingly attempts to smile. However, efforts to touch the Night Fury prompt it to retreat to the other side of the cove. Later that day, as the Night Fury attempts to rest, it is curious that Hiccup hasn't left. It approaches Hiccup, who is engrossed in sketching an outline of the dragon's head in the dirt. Intrigued, the dragon snaps a large tree branch and attempts to mimic Hiccup, leaving deep, random scribbles etched into the ground, a playful attempt to depict Hiccup's face. Hiccup marvels at the dragon's playful attempt at replicating his drawing. He avoids stepping on the dragon's artistic effort after it growls in mock protest when he nearly steps on it. Slowly, he edges closer to the Night Fury, eager to make contact. It remains hesitant to be touched, so he opens his palm and lets the dragon decide. The dragon presses its nose into it. Later that night, Hiccup learns from Gober that a dragon without wings can't fly, explaining why the Night Fury is confined to the cove. Driven by compassion, Hiccup, now naming the dragon Toothless due to its retractable teeth, strives to help it regain flight. He builds an artificial tail fin and embarks on a test to aid Toothless in flying. After the test run, it becomes clear that the artificial tail needs revamp and Toothless can't fly unaided. While refining the tail fin, Hiccup uncovers dragon behaviors through Toothless's reactions. He uses this newfound knowledge to tactfully manage dragons without harm, luring a hideous zippleback with a dislike for eels, incapacitating a gronkle with a passion for garlic grass, and guiding a terrible terror like a cat chasing light. Each success garners admiration from Viking adults who see his technique as greatness. Stoic returns from the Dragon Nest expedition, unsuccessful, but is surprised by the news of Hiccup's progress in dragon training. Shortly after, Hiccup perfects the fin designs and guides Toothless on a triumphant flight around the island. During a lunch break with several wild terrible terrors, Hiccup realizes the Vikings' beliefs about the dragons are wrong. When Stoic meets Hiccup, he tells him about his surprise at the success of his dragon training and gives him a helmet as a reward. At their final test, Astrid misses a chance to slay their first dragon, a monstrous nightmare. She loses out to Hiccup, who expertly overpowers the dragon. Frustrated, she sneakily follows Hiccup to the secluded cove, where he contemplates leaving Berk with Toothless to evade his final examination. As Astrid questions Hiccup about his newfound skills, a protective Toothless, misunderstanding her intent, aggressively moves towards her, inadvertently revealing Hiccup's relationship with the dragon. To safeguard the secret, Toothless whisks Astrid onto a treetop, prompting Hiccup to offer her a ride on the dragon's back to show that it means no harm. Astrid reluctantly agrees, but a cautious and angry Toothless embarks on a frightful flight, faking the attempt to throw Astrid off. But when Astrid admits she is sorry, Toothless ceases his antics, leading them on a serene, romantic flight above the clouds. Astrid's perspective on dragons transforms as she begins to appreciate Toothless's remarkable nature. However, to Hiccup and Astrid's astonishment, Toothless diverts from their path, joining a group of dragons transporting food to their nest. When they reach the nest, the two discover a startling truth. The dragons aren't consuming their prey. Instead, they offer it to the Red Death, a colossal titan-winged dragon. Forced to supply the Red Death with stolen goods from Berk, the dragons operate out of fear. Those who fail are subjected to the Red Death's deadly appetite, as evidenced by the unfortunate fate of a gronkle and a hideous zippleback. After escaping the nest and returning home, Astrid considers revealing the truth to Stoic in the village, but Hiccup opposes the idea. He explains that doing so would endanger Toothless's life. Astrid is taken aback, questioning whether he will go to such lengths to protect his pet dragon. Now resolved and firm, Hiccup affirms his commitment, revealing a newfound determination. Astrid's perception of Hiccup shifts, witnessing his transformation from the unsure youth she once knew. She agrees to keep Toothless's existence a secret. During the final test, Hiccup, aiming to demonstrate the dragon's true nature, tries to tame the monstrous nightmare instead of killing it. However, his shocked father's intervention thwarted the process, causing the dragon to revert to its hostile nature and launch an attack on Hiccup. Hiccup's cries for help reach Toothless in the cove, prompting the dragon to spring into action, escape the cove, and dash through the forest to aid his human companion. Astrid enters the arena to rescue Hiccup but is unsuccessful. Toothless arrives in the nick of time and fights off the monstrous nightmare from Hiccup, protecting its human friend. The other Vikings are astonished at the sight of the Night Fury, and they enter the arena to capture it. In defense, Toothless attacks the Vikings, including Stoic, to protect Hiccup from harm. Hiccup orders Toothless to flee before its capture, but the dragon's steadfast devotion compels him to remain by Hiccup's side. He manages to stop Toothless from unleashing fire on Stoic before the Vikings eventually overpower it. Hiccup tries to explain to his father the true nature of dragons, how they differ from the villagers' harmful image. He explains the reasons behind the dragon's aggression during their raids on Berk's livestock. However, Stoic remains unyielding, unable to accept Hiccup's perspective, and instead expressing his anger at his son's connection with the enemies. While he is explaining, Hiccup mistakenly mentions the Dragon Nest, the Red Death, and its control over the dragons, and says only a dragon knows the way to the nest, giving Stoic the idea to use Toothless as the key to access the nest. Hiccup attempts to tell his father about the threat of the Red Death again, but Stoic anger prevails. Hiccup watches the ship's departure as Astrid joins him to discuss how to escape the complex situation. He rants about being the first Viking not to kill a dragon in centuries, and Astrid inquires why he didn't kill Toothless when he had the chance. Hiccup opens up, explaining that he recognized Toothless's fear, realizing the dragon was not an inherently evil creature. Encouraged by Astrid's support, he decides to take action and free Toothless. Hiccup trains his fellow teens to ride the arena dragons, and together they embark on a daring journey toward the dragon's nest. The Vikings, guided by a chained Toothless, reach the nest and use the catapults to breach its lower defenses. However, their actions unleash the furious Red Death, leading to a chaotic confrontation. The Red Death sets the Viking ships ablaze, leaving them trapped with no escape. Stoic and Gobber grasp the gravity of the situation, deciding to sacrifice themselves to buy the others time to flee. Amid the intense battle, Hiccup and his friends arrive on Dragonback, targeting the Red Death's weak point. Their coordinated efforts entail Snotlout and Fishlegs, causing distractions for Red Death, while Roughnut and Toughnut exploit the Red Death's shot limitations. Asher drops Hiccup off to free Toothless. As Hiccup tries to untie Toothless, Red Death steps on their boat, plunging them into the deep water. Hiccup still tries to save it but runs out of air. Stoic, amazed by what Hiccup and his friends did, dives into the water and saves them both. Stoic apologizes to his son and suggests he does not need to face the dragon himself, but Hiccup responds with a confident smile, reassuring his father not to worry. Stoic expresses his pride in having Hiccup as his son and watches as he mounts Toothless and steers toward the Red Death. Hiccup angers the Red Death into being in their pursuit, with Toothless unleashing a powerful plasma blast on it. Leading the Red Death high into the enveloping darkness of the clouds, Hiccup and Toothless vanish from sight, concealing themselves. Using the obscurity of the cloud, they repeatedly blast hole after hole into the Red Death's wings. In pain and anger, the Red Death spews a torrent of fire around it, setting Toothless's artificial tail fin on fire when the Night Fury can't escape it. With time running short, Hiccup dives towards the ground, the Red Death following in hot pursuit. When Hiccup hears the sound of the Red Death heating its gases to fry them, he waits for the last moment and orders Toothless. The already weakened wings, due to the hole, gave way, rendering it useless. As the Red Death crashes at full speed and explodes, Hiccup is knocked unconscious as Toothless finds it hard to veer from the huge dragon flaming tails after its artificial tail burns. Seeing Hiccup fall towards the flames, Toothless bravely dives into the fire to save him. After the smoke from the battle subsides, Toothless is shown alive with his artificial fin destroyed and the saddle empty and scorched. All the Vikings believe Hiccup is dead, reducing Stoic to tears while apologizing for not listening to his son. Sensing the situation, Toothless unfurls his wings to reveal an unconscious Hiccup. His fireproof dragon hide saves Hiccup's life. After about 3 weeks, Hiccup wakes up in his bed, which has been moved to the home's main floor. Surprised Toothless is in his house to greet him joyfully. As he steps out of bed after being licked affectionately by Toothless, he sees that he has lost his left foot and lower shin, replaced by a prosthetic made by Gobber. Toothless helps him walk outside to witness a new change in the village as the Vikings invited the dragons to live with them. Hiccup is welcomed as a hero by the townspeople, and after fitting Toothless with a fin and saddle made by Gobber, Hiccup, Astrid, and the other Viking teenagers soar through the Berk atop their dragons. This moment signals the beginning of a new era where there's an alliance between Vikings and dragons. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.